Okay, here we are at Caspian border, and this is the first menu you're going to see as soon as the game loads up. And this is the deployment menu. It's not a heads-up display, it's an actual menu. And so you can notice in the upper left corner, it shows us who we are. We are on the US side. There is US and Russian sides here on this map. We are on the US deployment side, and it currently shows me who and what I can spawn on. I can spawn on US deployment. You can see it blinking in the mini-map on the right side. If I switch to the Hornet will start blinking on the mini-map. I can spawn in the Hornet or in the other Hornet. So I have these three choices currently. However, when you're playing in a game, you're going to have multiple squads, and you're going to have your squad, and you can spawn on any of your teammates or any of the objectives that you hold. So you're going to have multiple options to select to spawn into the game, which makes for quite a bit of interesting tactics and strategy. To the right, upper right corner, you'll notice the tickets. You have the US has 300 and the Russians have 300. Now the tickets are spawns and deaths. Every time you die, your team loses a ticket. Every time you spawn, your team loses a ticket. For every objective that you hold, the enemy's tickets run down. But if you hold 2 and the enemies hold 2, it's negated. You have to hold more objectives than your enemy for theirs to start running down. If you hold all the objectives, their tickets run down faster. So you do not want to spawn when your team has 2 tickets left and it's a close match and the enemy's got 5 left, because you're going to remove one of those tickets from your team. You just want to sit back and wait for the game to end. Otherwise, you spawning is going to hurt your team. So that's one thing that a lot of the newbies don't quite understand, is that spawning into the game costs tickets, not just deaths. Now remember the mini-map. The mini-map here shows us several things. You see the hash marks, the orange horizontal, vertical, diagonal hash marks make for the out-of-bounds area in the map. The open part in the middle is the active play area of the map, and you can see where our deployment is. It has the blue spot on the map and it's currently blinking, and then you have the different objectives: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta, and each one of those are currently unheld, and you can tell because they're in a white diamond color and shape. That means they're neutral. Nobody has claimed them yet, so those need to be gained by your team. When they're red, they're owned by the other team. When they are blue, they're owned by your team. Those are the ways that you can tell just by glancing at it whether you hold the objective or the enemy does. Then we have the classes. Now down here in the classes, now down below we have the classes. Currently it says deploy as assault. So that is my current class that I'm selected. I'm an assault class. However, if I use the D-pad, I can scroll to the right and select the engineer class, the support class, or the recon class. And now each one of these can also be changed as well. I currently have the AEK selected, but if I wanted a different weapon, I'd hit the B button to bring up this menu, and it shows me all the primary weapons that I can use and have unlocked in this class. So I could switch to the M16A3. But if I don't remember which sights I have on the M16A3, I can hit the X button, and that brings us back to this menu. And this is why I brought it to you before, because this menu is no different than the one in the main menu. And so we can click on the M16A3, click on it again, and I see that I've got the Cobra, but I've also got an underslung rail, and that doesn't make any sense because I have the medic kit. So I don't want to use the underslung rail. I'm going to go ahead and put the foregrip on. And then now I'm ready to go. Now I could deploy, and it's going to deploy me randomly among whichever spawn abilities I have at the time. So if I have teammates out there, or if I have Bravo is my team's objective, it might put me on Bravo if I just hit X from here. But if I want to be more selective, I'm going to go ahead and hit B and get back to this deployment menu and click specifically where I want to spawn. So I want to spawn on US deployment. So I click on that, and it's going to spawn me randomly and one of the random spawn points within my US deployment. It currently put me right on top of the mountain next to the tank and the chopper, which is really cool. The chopper is one of my favorite things to use. And when we first spawn in here, we'll notice a couple of things. Now our heads-up display is active, and in our lower right corner, you can see my pulse going, and it says 100%. That's my health. Now, you want to keep your eye on that because your health will regenerate after a few seconds when you're in battle. However, if you're still under fire, you're going to lose it really fast. Next, you'll notice the big 31. Now, that's how many bullets I have. Okay, so this gun, if I reload it, holds 31. I have 121 left in reserve. I have 2 grenades. That's where it says G times 2. I currently have 2 grenades. And in that 3 dots you see over to the right, that is my fire mode. That means I'm in full auto capacity fire mode. If I hit down on the D-pad, it's going to go to single fire. And then if I hit down again, it's going to go back to full auto. You also have, you can see the little lockdown there. That's because I have this gun completely unlocked. But that is your progress bar down there at the bottom. So if you have a weapon that you're currently trying to unlock, accessories for, that's where you're going to find that progress within the game. And it's important for that information to be in the game, because if you're starting with a new weapon and you're using iron sights and then you suddenly unlocked a new sight, you're going to want to switch that the next time that you spawn into the game so that you're using the current accessories that you have unlocked. Now on the left side of the screen, the bottom left of the screen, you'll notice game information HUD. The top part where you see the diamonds is the objectives. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, in that order from the left. No matter which side that you're playing on, it always starts A, B, C, D in that kind of an order. So you know if the second one's blinking that Bravo is getting taken, okay? Currently they're diamonds because nobody has claimed them. Nobody has captured them. So once they're captured, they're going to show up representation of which team holds that objective. Beneath that, you have the teams, US and Russian, and their ticket count. Each one currently are still at 300, which means the game hasn't started yet. This is a 200% server, so this has 300 tickets. On a standard, normal 100% server, this would be running 150 tickets. I like our matches to be just a little bit longer, give the chance for a little bit more give and take, a little bit better of a battle, so our servers run at 200%. Below that, you have your in-game minimap, and you can see that I'm green in the minimap, and I always stay in the center of it. Now, it's only about a 30-40 meter distance that you can see within your minimap, but it is a very useful tool because anybody on the opposite team firing an unsilenced weapon is going to show up as a red triangle, and you will know their location. You can see that the tank to my left shows up white. That's because it is unoccupied. That means anybody can go and take it. Same with the helicopter over there. Now below this mini-map we have the compass. Now as I rotate with my right stick, it's showing me which direction I'm facing, which can come in handy if you need to do a call out, and especially in these open maps where it's very difficult to say I'm over on the hill when there's 60 hills around. So you can say, hey, I'm getting attacked from the south end of Bravo. Everybody's going to know where to look. So that is why your compass is there. Now we have the in-game 3D icons. Now, if I look over here, at the very bottom of my screen, you can see the diamonds, Alpha, Charlie, Delta, Bravo. Okay, those will go all the way around your screen. You see that? They're crawling up the right side of the screen. Now I turn towards them, and now they are hovering over their respective locations. Now if I zoom in, go ADS, aim down sights at Alpha, you can see that it is a neutral point because it is a white triangle, and the number below it is my distance in meters from that location. So that comes in very handy when you're sniping, because you can use the ticks to dial people in at certain distances. So we have 453 meters to checkpoint Alpha, and we have 780 meters to checkpoint Delta. So these numbers can come in very handy when you're playing the game. So if you're ever wondering what those numbers were, that is what they are. Now let's go over the basic controls of the game. Battlefield 3 did not come with the paper manual in the game. It came with a digital manual within the menu that can be found in the extras. However, a lot of people don't go searching through the menus for every little detail of the game, so we're going to go ahead and lay these out for you now. Now I think I'm using, let's check here, go into options and see options are exactly the same. If I go to my controls, yeah, I'm running default. So based off of my default controls, left trigger is ADS, aim down sight, and that's for every weapon. Okay, left trigger, aim down sight. Right trigger is fire. Okay, easy enough to remember. It's probably the same in every game you've ever played. Left stick is move. So if I hit left, I move left. If I move right, I strafe right, forward, back. Okay, diagonal. All right. Then we have right stick, which is look. This is how I look around. Up, down, left, right. This is how I look. Okay. Then we have left stick. If I click it while I'm walking, I'll run. Okay. Right stick, if I click it, I go into crouch mode, and I'll stay in that crouch mode until I click it again. Okay. However, if I hold it down, I go straight to prone, laying down on the belly, hiding, reload time, staying under cover, getting out of the way, and then just run to get out of there. Now, if while I'm prone, I push forward on the left stick and push down on it at the same time, he'll come up running. You see? Otherwise, if you just press A to stand up or click right stick on the D-pad, you'll go into a crouch position from your prone position. Now, if we hit the back button, if there is an enemy around and he is within your line of sight, you're going to spot him. It's going to put a little red marker, little red upside down triangle over the top of his head so your entire team can see him. Now, this is a very useful function in this game, and you must practice doing it. Every time you see a person, hit that back button. Okay? Anytime you get in an engagement, you might lose that engagement. You need to spot that enemy so the rest of your team can take him out for you. Now, if you hold down on the back button, it's going to bring up your scoreboard, which can become pretty useful when you need to see how you're doing compared to your teammates in the game and making sure that you're doing your part. Now we have the start button. Now that shows the in-game menu, and we have several options here. We've got resume. We have the scoreboard, which is odd because we can get that in the menu or in that in-game, which I just showed you by holding down on the back button. You have squad and team, which can also be found in the game. However, if you are not in the deployment menu, this is the only way to find it, and if we click it, it will bring us to that same looking screen. One of the things I failed to mention is that on the screen you do have the abilities to create a squad and leave a squad and switch a squad. Also, if you go over to the right here, you can invite friends while you're in the game, and they will join your squad if they accept your invite. You also have the switch team availability, and then you have the voiceover. And I currently have this set to off, but you can have it select a team or just a squad. So that means anybody using a mic on your team, you'll be able to hear them. Then we have suicide, and I know it seems silly, but I've used that more than I would like to mention. There's many times where you go down in a plane or a jet or a chopper, and you could be in the water, and it might take you literally minutes, like 5 minutes just to swim to the shore. And that's 5 minutes that you are taken out of the game. So you suicide, it's going to cost you your team 2 tickets. But which is more expensive, 2 tickets or 1 player out of the game for 5 minutes? So don't be afraid to use that suicide, but be very mindful that you will spend 2 tickets for your team. Then you have the options, which you can adjust your sensitivity and all of your different options in the game. And then you have the server settings. Say you like the server, say you love the server, and you want to add it to your favorites, you can click that X button down there and add it to your favorites. Or you can find out who owns the server, what the server rules might be, or even go over and look at the map rotation and see what it looks like. So you make sure that there's no maps coming up that or game modes that you currently don't like. And then you have the quit. So if we resume our game, we'll go back through more of these controls, and we have the D-pad. Now the D-pad controls a lot of different things. First, let me suicide here so I can switch to a weapon with a visual accessory that I can switch on and off. The M16A3 currently does not have one. So I will switch back to the AEK, which I know has a laser on it, and I'll go ahead and deploy US deployment. Now on the D-pad, let's get to a place where you can see this. I have a laser beam. You see that laser beam? If I hit up on the D-pad, it turns that off. Now that's the same for flashlights too. So if you're running around a map and your accessory is a flashlight, you don't want to be running with that flashlight, because when you run, everybody to your left can see that flashlight bobbing. So you want to turn that off until you need it. And when you do that, you just hit up on the D-pad and it turns it right back on. Then we have right on the D-pad will activate gadget number 2, which on the support class, or on the assault class, this medic, is the defibrillator. And you see this little dot in the screen? If you want to kill somebody, you just put that dot right on their head and go BAM! And boom, they just drop like a rock. Sack of potatoes, BAM! You're alive. You're alive, BAM, baby. You're gonna live. Nope, you're gonna die. Okay? So when you want to revive somebody, you want to just get close to them and go ahead and hit the right trigger on the paddles to activate the revive function. And then you can hit Y back on to get back to your weapon. On the down D-pad, that is going to switch our fire mode. Now you can see on this weapon I have 3 different fire modes, currently on single fire. Okay, if I hit down on the D-pad, it's going to cycle to burst fire, and if I hit down one more time, it's going to cycle to full auto. Now be very careful. This happens to me all the time, especially in medic. I go to throw a med pack and suddenly I'm in single fire mode. So if you hit left diagonal in any way, be sure to watch that fire mode, okay? Even check it by firing, because there's a lot of times where it'll say you're on full fire mode, but you're actually on single, okay? And then we have the left D-pad, which is going to be your gadget number 1. And that's currently my med pack. But if you had an underslung, it would activate your underslung weapon. Okay, now there's something I'd like to show you while I'm a medic. You'll notice that I have an ammo pack behind me. And I'm going to go over here away from my ammo pack. That should be far enough. I'm going to throw a grenade. And we're going to get a little damage on ourselves here. We're not going to kill ourselves. We're just put a little damage on us. Now you see now, after the explosion, I'm at 43%. Now after about 7 seconds, it's going to start going up steadily. Let's see, we go here. Ready, go. There we go. And see, so you can see it going up pretty steadily. Now if I get near this ammo pack, it's going to start going up really fast, okay? So now I'm going to put this ammo pack behind me, and I'm going to go ahead and throw another grenade. Roughly the same distance. Get a little bit closer to it. Now I have this ammo pack behind me. Now I'm hurt, but look how fast. It didn't take me down that far. And now I'm back to full health already. And I wasn't even sitting on the ammo pack. I was kind of directly between these 2 spots right here. So whenever you're a medic, I don't care if you're in a Jeep or a tank or whatever you're doing, just go ahead and throw an throw a med pack up there. I mean, when I'm in a tank, I like to put one up on top. That's in case if I have to get out and engage somebody, I am within the radius of my med pack. And that is going to help me win the fight. Because in between him firing and missing, I'm going to be healing. And every bullet that I hit him with is going to do damage. And it's going to stay damage. So just remember that. That happens a lot of times. Little tip here. A lot of times, somebody will throw a grenade. I just throw a med pack right on top of the grenade and get back. And that med pack will take part of that, and then I just throw another one and start healing myself.
Pick it up.
somebody throws a grenade at you, you're a medic, just go ahead and throw a med pack right on that grenade.
There's your first aid
and
kit.
Stand back, and you will survive it. So back to the buttons, and now we can move on to your standard buttons. So we have the A button and A jumps. Holding it down doesn't jump any higher. Tapping it, I guess maybe a little bit. But you can't jump very far anyway. However, it does help you traverse terrain on foot. If I run and I jump, I'm going to traverse the terrain faster than anybody else just running. I know it sounds silly, guys, but it has been tested several times and it works. So you see people jumping, you know, it also makes yourself for a harder target to hit. So don't be afraid to look silly through the map, jumping around the map like an idiot. I do it all the time. And then we have the X button. X button, standard, reload. Reload, easy. Then we have Y. Now Y will cycle your primary and secondary weapons.
Here's the first aid kit.
It also will cancel. So if I go to reload and somebody comes around the corner, I double tap it, and he stops the reload, and I can go back to firing. Oh. So you just double tap, and he cancels, okay? Same with your pistol. Go to reload, double tap. Nope. So remember, double tap cancels. That's pretty standard for a lot of these FPS type of games, but just in case you didn't know that about any of the other games, now you do. Then we have the B button. Now B button is use or interact, and you'll come across, like here's a great example. Here's a tow missile. You can't pick it up, it's mounted, but I can hit B, hold down B and enter it, and now I am on this stationary weapon, and I can go and launch a tow missile at a nearby tank that's trying to spawn trap us or something like that. It is also the way that I get into vehicles. See that B? Now, you don't have to time yourself getting into a vehicle. I'll hold down B. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold down B, and I'm just going to run at this tank and not let go of B until I'm in it. If one of your teammates is coming down the road in a tank and you can see that they've only got 1 or 2 seats in it and there's a third seat open or a second seat open for you, they're coming right at you, don't even move. Just hold that B button down and he'll run over you and you'll find yourself in the gunner seat. Okay? You don't have to, repeatedly tap when you get near. I just hold it down. I just hold it down. Guys, my team's coming down the hill in a Jeep. I see there's an empty spot. I just get right in front of them, hold down B, and all of a sudden I'm in the passenger seat. So just remember, you can just hold down B to get into a vehicle. A lot of times that'll happen with the chopper that needs a gunner. He'll come swooping down onto the ground. You just want to hold down B and get in front of him. Maybe even jump if you have to, but just be sure you're holding down B and you will get in that chopper. And then we have the left button, and which I already had made the demonstration before. The left button throws your grenade. Now you cannot cook the grenades in this game. I wish you could, but you cannot cook them. So you just pretty much, if you're going to throw a grenade, just go ahead and tap it, because holding it down is not going to do anything. If you're ready to throw it, then press that left button and you will throw that grenade. Now the right button is the melee attack. If you come up behind somebody, it's going to go ahead and do an animation. But if there's nobody near, as you can see, so if we say this med pack is somebody and I'm just not quite close enough, it's going to swipe them. Now if it hits them, it's going to take half damage to them. But it might leave you vulnerable because it might stay in knife mode just like that. And then, yeah, you're kind of screwed because you're in a knife, you brought a knife to a gunfight because he's going to turn around and kill you. So the way that you can keep the knife, okay, so let's switch back to our gun here. We have our primary weapon. If you want to have your knife equipped, you just hold down on the right button and it will swipe and then stay there. And then you can run around the map with a knife and try to knife somebody. Hit the Y button and it will return back to your primary weapon. So that concludes the controls, the very basic controls and the very basic layout of BF3. Later we are going to get into the vehicles. We're going to start off with buggies, and then we'll move on to armored, and then we'll get to choppers and jets. Jets last. Now, just a little information for you newbies out there. I do not recommend getting in either one of the flying vehicles at all until you have completely mastered the tank. Okay? Unlock everything on the tank first, and then start working on choppers and jets. Okay? Primarily use the buggies and the armored vehicles. You have much better chance of winning a firefight in the armor than you do in the air, because these guys in the air are going to demolish you. And every time you go up in the air and a teammate spawns on you, like in the chopper, and you don't know what you're doing and you crash it, you just cost your team 4 tickets, because you're both dead and then you both have to respawn. So learn to drive these things before you just jump in them and ruin people's games. Go to an empty server, fly around for a while if you need to, but I highly recommend doing armored first. Okay, get all of your armor perks first. Learn to use the armor. The armor is very, very, very useful tool in this game. I know it's a lot of fun to fly around in this game, but the armor, that's where you're going to get the points. Complete objectives, capture points in a tank, and you will level up very, very quickly. So that concludes our 101. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to subscribe and like this video. Let's get this word spread around. I'm going to try to get through all of this 101 stuff, get into the intermediate, and finish off the advanced before the new BF3 add-on comes out. So give me a hand there, help me out, and share this around with all your friends, and happy gaming.